The movie starts with a young woman named Michelle. She is packing her things in a hurry, clothes and other belongings, into a suitcase. Even though she's acting fast and focused, she looks sad and unsure about what to do next. She picks up her phone and makes a call to someone. After the call, she holds the phone close to her, then grabs a bottle of whiskey and places her promise ring in the bag too. Michelle is now driving somewhere, but it seems like she's trying to isolate herself, trying to get away from a situation that's been hurting her. Later that night, she stops at a gas station to fill up her car with fuel, and then she continues driving. After some time, she gets a call from her boyfriend, Ben. She answers, and he pleads with her to hear him out. He tells her he still wants her and that running away won't fix anything. But Michelle ends the call before he finishes speaking. She then turns on the radio, and the host mentions a power outage affecting some areas. Just as she's listening, Ben calls again, distracting her. Before she can do anything, a car crashes into her from behind, flipping her vehicle off the road. Afterward, Michelle is asleep and she has a minor injury on her head. When she wakes up, she slowly regains her awareness and realizes she's hooked up to a glucose drip. But she's not in a hospital, she's in a strange, unfamiliar room. She starts to panic when she looks down and sees that her leg is chained, leaving her scared and confused about where she is and what's happening. Immediately, Michelle tries to act. She reaches for her phone, which is close by, but the chain on her leg stops her from reaching it. She then tries to free herself from the chain, but it's too strong for her to handle, and she begins to cry. After that, she grabs the metal stand holding the glucose bag and uses it to pull her clothes and bag closer. After several tries, she finally manages to get her phone into her hand. But when she tries to make a call, the phone shows there's no signal. Suddenly, Michelle hears footsteps coming from the other room. A large man named Howard opens the door and walks in, carrying food. Scared and panicked, Michelle pleads with him not to hurt her. Her heart is racing, and she's trembling as she promises that she won't tell anyone if he just lets her go. Howard then tells Michelle that she needs fluids to stay healthy. When she nervously asks what he plans to do to her, he calmly assures her that he's going to keep her alive. He hands her a stick to help her stand. Michelle, still afraid, tells him that her boyfriend will find her and bring the police. But Howard doesn't seem worried. He calmly tells her that no one is coming for her. Then he hands her a small tool to unlock the chain around her leg and quickly leaves the room. Michelle uses the tool to unlock the chain and free herself. Even though her leg is injured, she pushes through the pain and manages to put on her trousers. She looks around the room, trying to understand where she is. Soon, she comes up with a plan. She takes the small tool and starts sharpening the stick that Howard gave her. She works on it steadily and carefully, turning it into a weapon. Once it's ready, she waits, prepared to defend herself and attack Howard if he returns, but he doesn't come back. Feeling tired and desperate, Michelle comes up with a new plan. She sets some of her clothes on fire, filling the room with smoke. As the fire spreads, Howard rushes in. Michelle tries to take advantage of the moment and attacks him with the sharpened stick. But Howard quickly overpowers her. He grabs her tightly and easily stops her. Before she can fight back again, he injects her with some kind of medicine, making her lose control. Later, Michelle wakes up again, but this time she's not chained. Howard is sitting in a chair nearby, watching her. He warns her not to try anything like that again and says she's lucky to be where she is. He tells her to eat the food he prepared. Michelle begs him to let her go, but Howard, calling her by name, tells her there's nowhere to go. He claims he saved her life and explains that there's been an attack, possibly chemical or nuclear, and that the outside world is no longer safe. He insists the place they're in is the only safe spot. Michelle tells him she was just driving, but Howard says he found her after a car crash and couldn't leave her. She thanks him for saving her, but she doesn't stop asking to leave. She also says she needs to go to a hospital, but Howard refuses and gives vague, unreasonable excuses. He even says it might take a year or longer before they can leave. When Michelle asks him to call her family, Howard responds coldly, saying her family isn't okay and that everyone outside is dead. Their tense conversation is interrupted by a strange sound from another room. Howard leaves to check on it, and when he returns, he tells Michelle she needs to start showing him respect. Then he picks up his chair and walks out, leaving her alone again. At night, Michelle wakes up from her sleep and stares at the ceiling for a moment. Then she notices that the door to her room is open. Without hesitation, but moving slowly and carefully, she steps out. As she walks through the hallway, she accidentally makes a noise. Nearby, she sees another person, Emmett, a young man with an injured arm. He notices her and asks if she wants something to eat, but she doesn't answer. The moment feels tense and uncomfortable. Michelle finally asks him where they are. Emmett tells her they're in a bunker and that he's been staying there for a few days now. Michelle asks Emmett if there's any way to get outside, but he tells her that the air outside is contaminated and it's not safe. As they talk, Howard suddenly shows up and interrupts the conversation. He points out that Emmett's injury is his own fault and reminds Michelle that Emmett got hurt while knocking over a shelf. Howard uses this moment to reinforce his control and make it clear that trying to escape is dangerous. Then, along with Emmett, Howard gives Michelle a tour of the living area. He shows her the shelves, books, and other items, and points out that the kitchen is fully working. While they're walking, Michelle almost loses her balance, but Emmett helps her stay on her feet. Howard immediately tells Emmett not to touch her and orders him to sit down. Emmett obeys without question and takes a seat. Howard then shows Michelle his private room. When she says she needs to use the restroom, Howard hesitates and says he doesn't want to leave her alone, for his own safety, he claims. Michelle disagrees with his reasoning but ends up using the restroom while hiding behind a curtain for privacy. Afterward, Michelle comes out and doesn't sit down. Instead, she starts looking through the books on the shelf. Howard notices and tells her the magazines belong to someone named Megan. When Michelle asks who Megan is, Howard says she's not with them anymore and avoids giving more details. It's clear he doesn't want to talk about it. When the power flickers, Howard says it's just a generator issue. Michelle suggests it could be a car outside, but Howard dismisses her idea. Michelle then says they could try calling the police for help and maybe find a way to escape. This upsets Howard. He insists there's no one left to help them and blames her for even thinking of such a plan. Later, Howard shows Michelle a door and allows her to go upstairs. There, she carefully looks through a small window to observe the outside world. Howard opens one of the doors, revealing another sealed door beyond it. Michelle looks out and sees a dead pig lying outside. Howard explains that the pig died because of the toxic air. Michelle starts thinking back to her car accident the night before, noticing that the car outside looks just like the one from the crash. But she keeps her thoughts to herself. Howard then tells her that he sealed the doors so that no one can get in or out. Meanwhile, Emmett comes over to Michelle and tells her that Howard is upset because he lost his pigs. He tries to lighten the mood by handing her a magazine and then sits down next to her. Trying to be friendly, he tells her that if she ever wants a French braid, she can ask him, offering a small moment of kindness in an otherwise tense situation. Shifting the conversation, Michelle asks Emmett what he knows about Howard. Emmett tells her that Howard used to be in the Navy and worked with satellites. He adds that Howard hired him to help set up the bunker and that, at the time, the job actually seemed interesting. Still feeling unsure, Michelle asks if Howard had kidnapped him. Emmett says no, Howard didn't kidnap him. Instead, he says he came to the bunker on his own, trying to hide from what he believes is a world-ending war happening outside. Michelle then shares the truth with Emmett. She tells him that Howard abducted her, that he's the one who ran her off the road and dragged her into the bunker. She insists that Howard is lying and that the story about the air being contaminated isn't true. But Emmett doesn't fully agree. He explains that he saw a bright flash, like an explosion, and while he doesn't know exactly what it was, it convinced him something serious was happening. Michelle, however, still doesn't believe the outside is as dangerous as Howard claims. As they're talking, Howard interrupts. He says he already told Emmett about the contaminated air, which makes Michelle nervous. But he doesn't press further and simply walks away. Later, the three of them sit down together at the dinner table. Howard brings the food and sits in his usual chair. The atmosphere is tense. As they eat, Howard uses a door key to open a bottle of beer, and Michelle takes note of it. Trying to make conversation, Howard mentions that Megan was a great cook, even better than him. Emmett compliments the food, but in a strange, joking tone. Howard doesn't like his response and warns him to watch his language, clearly irritated. Emmett tries to change the mood by sharing that he's always wanted a tattoo but never got one for some reason. Michelle laughs at his story, showing that she's starting to feel more comfortable around him. Meanwhile, Howard proudly says that he always does whatever he wants and that he was fully prepared for the situation they're in. Michelle and Emmett stay quiet and don't argue. Trying to keep the conversation going, Emmett points to a Monopoly book and brings it up. But suddenly, Howard gets angry without warning. He seems jealous of the growing bond between Michelle and Emmett. He tells Emmett to stop joking and to be quiet. Michelle notices where Howard puts his key, and to distract him, she asks Emmett to hand her a napkin. She then starts talking casually with Emmett, and the conversation flows smoothly, helping her keep Howard's attention away. But out of nowhere, Howard gets furious again. He stands up and yells at Michelle, saying that he's the one who saved both of them and accusing them of mocking him. He demands an apology and tells Michelle to behave. While he's distracted, Michelle carefully reaches into his pocket and takes the key without him noticing. Then, they all sit back down. Later, Howard starts looking for his key and realizes it's missing. At that moment, a sound comes from upstairs. Using the distraction, Michelle grabs a beer bottle and hits Howard with it. She runs upstairs and unlocks the first door, quickly locking it behind her so Howard can't follow. While Michelle is trying to open the sealed outer door, she spots a car outside and starts screaming for help, hoping someone will hear her. A strange woman approaches the door. Her face is covered in visible sores and signs of infection, possibly from a virus. The woman desperately begs Michelle to let her in. Michelle hesitates, torn between helping the woman and protecting herself. At the same time, Howard appears behind the inner door and urgently warns Michelle not to open it, insisting that the air outside is dangerous. The woman grows more aggressive, banging on the door and pleading. But in the end, Michelle decides not to open it, deeply shaken by what she's seen. Later, Howard comes into Michelle's room to change the light bulb. While there, he admits something important. He was the one who crashed into her car. He explains that it was an accident, caused by his panic over the incoming attack. He confesses that he's been scared to tell her the truth and apologizes for what happened. Before leaving the room, he tells her she should take a shower because toxic air might be leaking in through the hinges. He gives her a change of clothes, which belonged to Megan. Afterward, Howard tells Michelle that the car outside belonged to his neighbor, and the woman she saw was his neighbor too. Her name was Leslie. He says he's expecting someone else to come to the bunker as well. Then, he asks Michelle to help him change the stitches on his wound. Michelle hesitates and tells him she's not trained, but Howard assures her he'll guide her through it. He gives her a drink, calling it vodka, but says it's something he distilled himself. When Michelle takes a sip, she finds it unpleasant. Then she carefully helps him restitch the injury she gave him earlier when she hit him with the beer bottle. Later, Howard brings in some of Michelle's belongings that he had collected from her car. Among them is her notebook. Michelle tells him she used to design clothes. Howard shares that Megan wanted to be an artist too. When Michelle asks if Megan was his daughter, Howard says yes. Then, he hands Michelle a photo and says it's Megan in the picture. He talks about how Megan's mother left him and went to Chicago, taking Megan with her. Michelle suggests he can't be sure they left him for good, but Howard insists they did. Later, Michelle is in her room, looking through her old design work. From the other room, Emmett starts talking to her. He tells her not to feel guilty about not helping the woman outside, that even if she had opened the door, the woman probably wouldn't have survived. Michelle says she still feels some regret. Emmett then opens up about himself. He says he once improved his grades and even earned a full scholarship to Louisiana Tech in Ruston. But things didn't work out. He missed his chance because he slept in and didn't show up when it mattered. Michelle opens up about something that happened to her a few years ago while working at a hardware store. She tells Emmett about a disturbing moment when a father aggressively yanked his own daughter in front of her. Michelle admits that she didn't do anything to stop it. She just stood there, frozen, and eventually ran away from the situation. The memory still haunts her. Meanwhile, Emmett plays some music and starts cleaning the kitchen. Howard and Michelle sit down to play Monopoly. Everyone gets involved in their own tasks, and for a while, things feel normal. They eat together, stay busy, and their relationships begin to feel more relaxed and friendly. Eventually, Emmett notices that the Monopoly game is finished but one piece is missing. Michelle, however, is focused on a book she's reading. Emmett asks what it is, and she hands it to him. It's about post-apocalyptic fashion. Suddenly, a loud sound shakes the entire bunker. The noise is intense and frightening. Howard tells them to stay calm, saying it might be a military patrol or aircraft, not people. He explains that the same kind of flashes may have started the crisis they're in, and now the military could be looking for any remaining signs of life. Just then, an alarm goes off. The filtration system has failed, and Howard warns them that without it, they'll soon run out of clean air. He tries to open the upper basement hatch to fix the system, but it's stuck. He struggles, using all his strength, but it won't budge. He tells them that it's urgent. They're at risk if it's not fixed fast. Howard then removes a vent cover and tells Michelle she's the only one small enough to crawl through the air ducts to reach the system. He explains where she needs to go and how to restart the filtration system. Michelle doesn't want to do it, but she knows she has no choice. Howard hands her a flashlight. Michelle climbs into the narrow duct and crawls through. Following Howard's directions, she reaches the small room and successfully turns the filtration system back on. While trying to exit, she climbs up toward a higher spot and notices a small window. On the glass, scratched into the surface, is a chilling word help. She panics, realizing someone may have been trapped there before. As she hurries back down, she finds a lone earring nearby, another clue that raises her suspicions about what Howard might be hiding. Afterward, Michelle shows Emmett the earring she found and the photo Howard had shown her of Megan. But Emmett is shocked. He tells Michelle that the woman in the photo isn't Megan. He recognizes her from high school and remembers that she went missing 2 years ago. The case had even made the news. Michelle compares the earring to the one worn by the woman in the picture, and they match. Suspicious, they find another photo. This one likely shows the real Megan, the girl whose clothes Michelle is now wearing. Their growing doubts about Howard deepen as his once friendly behavior starts to feel darker and more controlling. Later, Emmett comes up with an idea to take Howard's gun and force him to tell the truth. He's sure they're not the only survivors and wants to act. But Michelle doesn't like the plan. She doesn't want to risk her life in a confrontation. Before they can continue the discussion, Howard interrupts. He says he wants to play music to lighten the mood and suddenly starts dancing, leaving Michelle and Emmett standing awkwardly, unsure of how to react. Later, Michelle suggests making a protective suit using a bathroom curtain. She can only make one, but Emmett agrees to help. While Howard watches a movie on TV, Emmett casually approaches him, pretending to be interested. Howard offers him something, but Emmett declines and goes to the kitchen, not for water, but to secretly grab a pair of scissors. Back in the living room, Emmett casually brings up Michelle's time near the filtration system, suggesting she might have accidentally contaminated it. Howard doesn't respond, and Emmett leaves, pretending it was just a passing thought. Suspicious, Howard later throws the curtain into the trash. But Emmett and Michelle retrieve it quickly and begin working on the protective suit. Michelle uses various materials to build it, and Emmett helps her put it together. As they work, Michelle warns that Howard will kill them if he finds out. Emmett reminds her that they need to finish their plan, tie Howard up, and one of them will escape to get help. Later, the three of them play a game of charades. During Emmett's turn, he asks Howard a question involving Michelle. Howard hesitates, and the timer runs out before he answers. When it's Howard's turn, he asks Emmett something cryptic, implying he knows what they're doing. Emmett is caught off guard and doesn't know how to respond. Before the tension builds further, Michelle steps in and answers the question herself, even though it's not her turn. While Michelle is working on the protective suit, she hears a noise. Quickly, she hides the suit before Howard enters the room. Howard says he needs her help, and Michelle agrees without showing hesitation. He then leads her and Emmett to a large barrel, asking them to help move it into the bathroom, leaving them both uneasy about what's coming next. Howard tells Michelle and Emmett that the barrel contains sulfuric acid. He puts on gloves and opens the lid, making it clear that he suspects something. Emmett nervously asks why he's showing them this. Howard then pulls out the scissors and other tools and demands to know what they've been doing, dropping the items into the acid. Emmett steps up and takes full responsibility. He admits he was the one using the tools and that he had been planning to take Howard's weapon. He says he only wanted Michelle to respect him the same way she respects Howard. Emmett refuses to let Michelle take any of the blame. He apologizes for what he did. Howard coldly says he accepts the apology, then, without mercy, kills Emmett right in front of Michelle. She's horrified and too shocked to even stand properly. Howard calmly helps her to her room afterward, as if nothing terrible just happened. Michelle is overwhelmed and hopeless, struggling to process what just happened. Howard returns with a bowl of ice cream, saying they should have dessert before dinner. He tells her that they can do whatever they want now, and hints that he wants to start a happy family with her, even though he knows it's not the life she wants. He then leaves to go prepare dinner. Left alone, Michelle pulls out Emmett's ID, clinging to the memory of her only ally. Later, Howard comes to her room to call her for dinner. Michelle tells him she's about to do some reading. As he's leaving, he checks the ventilation grill and then spots the protective mask suit. Realizing what she's been up to, he turns to her. Michelle reacts quickly, slamming the door in his face and running to another room. But Howard appears again, furious and betrayed. He demands to know if this is how she repays him after all he's done. In a desperate move, Michelle pushes the barrel of acid toward him. It spills on him, and he collapses in pain. She jumps over him and runs to her room to grab the mask suit, but the fire is spreading quickly. Though injured, Howard rises again, his face now badly burned from the acid. Michelle topples a shelf onto him and escapes into the ventilation pipe. As she crawls through, Howard stabs through the grill with a knife, even managing to grab her leg. He begs her to stay with him, but she kicks him off and pushes forward, eventually reaching the filtration room. She quickly puts on the mask suit. Using a chemical compound, she freezes the lock on the exit hatch, then kicks it open and escapes outside. Once there, she looks around and finds no signs of danger. She runs to Howard's car, but the suit tears slightly. Thinking fast, she seals the rip with duct tape to avoid exposure. Then, Michelle sees a flock of birds flying freely in the sky and realizes the truth. The air isn't contaminated at all. With new confidence, she takes off the mask and breathes deeply. There's no poison, just clean, fresh air. She's finally free. Suddenly, Michelle hears a strange sound coming from the distance. Curious and cautious, she walks to Howard's car to check it out. As she looks around, she notices something unusual in the sky, a strange aircraft flying in her direction. It's not a normal plane, it's alien. At that very moment, Howard's bunker explodes behind her, drawing the attention of the alien ship. The alien craft heads straight toward the destroyed bunker. Michelle quickly gets into Howard's car, frantically searching for the keys, but they're not there. Thinking fast, she runs to a nearby car. As soon as she opens the door, the car alarm goes off loudly. Realizing the noise might attract attention, she rushes to a nearby building to hide. The car alarm continues blaring outside. Inside the building, she ducks down and peers out of a small window. Through it, she sees a terrifying alien creature approaching the car. Its appearance is strange and frightening, unlike anything she's ever seen. Inside the room with her, she also notices a lifeless body lying nearby, adding to the fear and tension of the moment. Michelle spots the car key and quickly uses it to shut off the blaring alarm, just moments before the alien reaches the building she's hiding in. Acting fast, she slips out through a back way and takes a shortcut, running toward a nearby house in hopes of finding help. But before she can get there, the massive alien ship descends in front of her. It's huge, terrifying, and starts releasing a thick, toxic gas into the air. Thinking quickly, Michelle puts on the protective suit she made earlier, shielding herself from the gas. As the alien prepares to attack, she dives into a nearby car for cover. The alien lashes out at the vehicle but can't reach her inside. Staying calm and thinking fast, Michelle finds a bottle of alcohol, lights it, and creates a makeshift firebomb. Just as the alien opens its mouth, she throws the burning alcohol straight into it. The flames ignite inside the alien, setting it on fire. The creature thrashes in pain, but the fire consumes it. Michelle watches as the alien burns, finally defeated by her quick thinking and determination. At the end, Michelle steps out of Howard's car, shaken but determined. She finds another car, starts the engine, and drives away. Soon, a radio broadcast announces that the military is starting to win against the aliens but needs help from survivors. Without hesitation, Michelle takes the right turn toward Houston, ready to help and fight for her people.